So before we jump into like the new stuff, you've done what, 4 or 5 startups before?
Well, so if you
like
include Twitter, Twitter's my fourth.
Your
Twitter's
fourth
not really a
startup,
startup anymore, but 3 startups of my own, and then jumped into Twitter.
And you actually had a real job at one point, you know, not being an entrepreneur.
Way back when?
Right, way back when.
Way back when. I worked out
Anderson Consulting?
Yeah,
right?
Anderson Consulting.
And
that's a long time ago.
And so what was the jump? Like, what was the thing that...
Oh, so the web kind of took off, and you know, we were using Netscape, the Mozilla browser, and then Netscape browser internally to do a bunch of stuff. And I remember saying to the CIO of Anderson Consulting at the time, this is 93, and saying to Charlie Paulk, the CIO of Anderson Consulting, hey, I think we were using Lotus Notes at the time to do all this internal work. And I said, you know, the web is like much more extensible, and we should do this, and we can code in you know, Java and do these kinds of things, and just build this extensible platform on top of this HTTP system. And he was, you know, he kept on referring to it still as the information superhighway and said it was a fad. The information superhighway was a fad, and that Lotus Notes was actually a much more robust platform. And I realized that, you know, the smart money was not going to stay there.
So how long did you do Project Eagle at Anderson before?
About 2 years, 2-3 years.
So 2 years before I make the jump.
Yes.
Well done.
You've done some digging.
I've
You're going way back.
This is going to be.
You really are Charlie Rose. This is going to be like an hour and 45 minutes.
At least.
Holy cow! At least. When do we get to Twitter? Right around 10 o'clock when the shuttle stops running.
So, time to go.
Yeah.
The Fat Jim.
Facebook, Apple, Twitter, Google, Yahoo, Microsoft.
Well done. Well done.
Yes.
So, you know, the little acronym we've come up at Panorama to kind of describe, you know, the companies in order that are going to define the social web going forward.
Twitter would be earlier in that acronym, but for the fact that it wouldn't be a word.
Yeah, I could have gone that way, but you know, like the Fat Jim just had like an interesting ring to it, so I just kind of went with it.
So let's just go with it.
And Steve's doing pretty well, and you know, Zuck is doing all right at Facebook. So like,
Zuck is doing fine at Facebook. It remains to be seen how social Apple is.
So they're doing the whole music thing, social thing.
Sure. Ping.
Is that going to go anywhere?
I think it's an interesting idea. We'll see what happens with it. I think it's an interesting idea. I think it's a great idea.
Right.
It makes a ton of sense to be able to follow artists and see who those artists are listening to, etc. It's very specific to music. And they just started, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So the Fat Jim.
I mean, let's be frank. If Twitter's first letter were an A, and Apple's first letter were a T, it would be a lot more sensible.